property before he got out of school. So
wow.
it's an interesting phenomenon in terms of how long they've been around. So without any further ado, I think Mark Martin should be able to actually hear us live now. I brought out his line on. Are you there, Mark?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey, Mark. How are you doing today? Good.
What's up, Gary?
So Mark's been listening to us. Before we get started with Lake Pointe, as far as our Austin Realty update, any thoughts on the news, the strong employment, Apple expanding, and just how strong the sales numbers are?
Yeah, Kevin, actually, I'm sitting here doing the TMO, so we can discuss that next week. And just a brief hint, it's still strong, man. There's a couple of pricing segments that are slowing down a little bit, but overall, you know, price points that we know are popular, still going strong. I know
What do you think your top two price points are, Mark?
I would say right now, anything from 150 to 200 is smoking. We just put one under contract in a matter of hours over the weekend at 145.
Wow, crazy.
You know, anything below 200, we're putting them. I'm sure you're seeing this, Perry, but we're putting them under contract in a day or two.
Wow, wow. We don't get to see very many of those $150,000 places, don't we? But the ones that do fly off the market, wow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Well, and that's a function, don't you think, Mark, of the fact that the market and inventory levels, and we'll see this in the total market overview next, are so low. I mean, you're talking 2 or 3 months worth of inventory in some of these low price points that even up to higher price points in hot markets. I mean, I've looked at the numbers for Circle C because I do quite a bit of work of analyzing that market, and 25 days for average days on market down there, and we'll talk about this, and we can compare it a little bit to Lake Pointe, just because Lake Pointe's another popular area, but you're seeing the job growth, and Circle C's big driver is not only the amenities down there, but it's only 15 minutes from downtown, as long as you're not sitting there in rush hour traffic. So what's interesting is Lake Pointe's about the same distance. If you go right down B Caves and Mopac, you're about 15, 20 minutes, unless you're at peak rush hour. So, Mark, let's dig into Lake Pointe, and why don't you give us an update on what's going on in that market?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of a key factor with Lake Pointe, for those that may not be familiar with the area, it's out on B Caves Road next to the Hill Country Galleria, and exemplary elementary school in the neighborhood. And something people don't realize, if they look in Lakeway, Alta Vista, some of the neighborhoods over on 620 Falcon Head, you have to come around from 620 to B Caves Road to start at the same place that Lake Pointe is. So it shaves 15 to 20 minutes off of your commute if you're going into Westlake or downtown. That's huge for spending that extra time with your family. So, you know, market in Lake Pointe, I lived out there 11 years, loved it. A great neighborhood, great amenities, right on Lake Austin. You know, there's still good value in there, but it's always sold faster than the Austin average because of its popularity. So
let's
you know,
go through the numbers. If you look at the numbers year to date, I mean, it's up a little bit. So it's certainly showing that it's continuing strength, right?
It is, and it's actually, there's so little on the market in there. You know, 29 sold units this year versus 27 last year to date. You know, year-to-date sales up a bit, 13.5 million versus 11.7. The interesting thing, again, because of the lack of inventory, you know, only 50 days on the market versus 68. I think the reason you're seeing the median price drop a little bit, 341 versus 369, that neighborhood has right at 1,000 homes in it, and a lot of the higher-end homes, 700,000 up to about 1.5 million that are down in the gated section, people are hanging on to those, and you know, they're long-term owners in there, so they're not turning over the higher end. What really moves in there is anything from 300 to 400. And just because of the size of the families and you know, the demographics. So.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned just in passing, and it's not on slide here, Mark, but last time I looked, isn't it only about 12 active listings in Lake Pointe? So there's not a lot to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, basically they're selling. If it's a decent listing, decently priced, it's going to sell in a matter of days.
Do you have a lot
Fantastic.
of
Perry, I think you had a question too, Perry, right?
Yeah, sure do. do you have a lot of activity from the regional medical center that's being built over there, or is that still growing?
You know, that's kind of an interesting story, Perry. That was built on speculation, and they're actually trying to sell that right now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. There's actually nobody in it.
Nobody in it.
It's up and operating. The emergency facility is up and operating, but as far as a going concern, they're trying to sell it to either Seton or one of the other hospital networks. But it was a big risk. I know several doctors that were going to invest in it and then ended up just thinking the risk might be too high. Gorgeous facility. It will go. It's just a matter of timing. So.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I think, Mark, the big driver, Mark, has got to be the commute difference. I mean, if you're going to be back in downtown or Westlake or along 360, 15, 20 minutes is a big difference. And you're right, that traffic in that section of 620 does back up both directions in the morning and the evening. Yeah, when the school's in session, you've got the high school and the middle school right there, which, that creates a bit of a bottleneck.